Gentlemen, your speaker today, Senior Boarder Lance Nolen.
I love you too. One of my favorite songs of all time is Heroes by David Bowie. Released in 1977 off the Heroes album, the title track details a story between two lovers separated by the Berlin Wall, forced to be so close yet so far away. While this was the common explanation for the song for a great number of years, in 2003, Bowie himself came out and stated how the song was really influenced by his producer's affair with the German girl they had met in Berlin during the recording of the album. Obviously, he couldn't go around saying that at the time it was released, so he connected it to the Berlin Wall and came up with a realistic story of two people in love, separated by barbed wire and cinder blocks. Personally, my favorite iteration is that of two friends, just spitballing things to each other about what they could do to become heroes. What could they do to become heroes? What can we do to become heroes? The standard portrayal of a hero can be described as someone who is willing to risk their lives for the sake of others, or willing to give up their time to make a difference. Suggest. Many of us have heroes that we look up to, whether we know them or not. The people who make the slightest difference in our everyday lives can ultimately have one of the most lasting impacts imaginable. I mentioned the song Heroes as, despite being referred to as a song of two lovers, it can really mean whatever you want it to be. You can be whatever you want to be, from the help of others or even yourself. I want to share 3 small stories of heroes in my life, the first being temporary, the second being everlasting, and the third being a moment where I became my own hero. Everlasting, meaning what they have done for you is forever. Temporary, that they once did good for you, but you realize over time that they are not someone you want to stick around. And my own hero, a time where it fell on me to make a change. First, let's look at the temporary hero. In life, you are going to meet people that may have good intentions at first, but as you get to know them, you realize their bad outweighs their good. This is what happened with a former hero of mine, someone I used to call my best friend. I met him in the summer of 2022 during a film program in Los Angeles. At that time, I conformed a bit to what I thought was best for me, aka that silly high school stuff you care about when you're 16 and still figuring out who you are. But he was someone who didn't care about that stuff, someone who, I used to think, wanted the best for those around him. Those 3 weeks in Los Angeles were a time I still to this day hold in high regard, a time that influenced me into what I really wanted to become. My friend stuck around for a while afterwards and did so for close to 2 years. However, he had his own struggles, and he often used them against me. One day, I had enough, and that was that. It was over. A hero gone, one who, despite no longer being in my life, will stick with me for the rest of it. My everlasting hero is my mother, my best friend, and the one I can talk to about anything. Her story is one I will live with for the rest of my life and has influenced me into the man I am and the man I am still developing to be. She was put into an adult's position practically the first day she came home from the hospital. Born and raised in Fayetteville, Arkansas, my mother at an early age quickly learned how to take care of those around her. Prior to her parents' divorce, her father was often at work at his beer bottling company, and her mother was often at home doing her own thing. The story of my grandmother is one of a movie, hence why I made one about her, and some of the stories may be a bit too much for a Monday morning. However, to sum it up, my mom and her brother Matt largely became in charge of the house, taking part in the tasks that their parents should have been doing for them. The relationship with their father was much stronger than that of their mother's, and once he moved to Little Rock, Arkansas, they could only see him periodically. From a young age, she wanted to break out. She wanted to get out of that life, so she did what she could, worked extremely hard inside and outside of the classroom, and made a name for herself. Sometimes, people do end up turning into their parents, and it was her mission not to do so. She became her own person, did her own thing, and lived to tell the tale. My mother's life story is one that has really inspired me as I've grown older, forever cementing that she is my hero, my everlasting hero. Her advice and love is what I wish to portray to others and hope I can become a better man because of. I love you, Mom. Thank you for everything. These two stories of a temporary and everlasting hero are ones that some of you in this chapel may be able to relate to. Having someone there for you whenever you need it most, or having someone who may have done a lot of good in your life but are now regulated to a distant memory of summers past. For the third and final story, I wanted to tell you a time where I became my own hero. You start the year as one person and end the year another. That's the reality of life, especially as a teenager soon about to enter some of the most important years of their life, ones that they may not know then but will know down the line. 2023 was an interesting year for me. I was set to embark on a new chapter of my life, leaving the place I called home and the school I had attended for the past 14 years. To say this change was scary is an understatement. I was so happy for the future, yet I was still sad. It's the kind of sadness that just eats away at your existence, the kind that you don't know what's causing it, yet you don't have the motivation to stop it. I slowly grew to hate myself, my very existence. It felt as though I was a waste of space in my own world. Despite feeling love from those around me and being able to help them through their rough times, I could never say the same about myself, and sometimes I still can't. What comes down to it is that in this situation, the only one who could save me was myself. I had to be my own hero. I got out of bed and saw things for what they were. In life, stuff will happen out of our control, and it will repeat for years to come. But you must accept and move forward. You may have a hero, or you may not. You could be your own hero, but in a way that keeps you in check because no one likes entitlement. Your own self-love can be the biggest hero of them all. Most days out of the year are uneventful, but that small portion of truly unforgettable days are meant to live with us for a reason. Whether we experience or learn something new, or do something for another person that they will never forget. We can be heroes just for one day. We can be us just for one day. Thank you.